my name is Alex. I'm the assistant director here at the Everett Free Library, and today we are going to do some embroidery. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is to go by your library here and pick up your relaxation kit. It's got a lot of different adult crafts that are kind of relaxing and soothing kind of new hobbies that you might want to get into. But today we're going to do this one. When you pick up your kit, you're going to receive the following. So you will get 2 of these. These are your embroidery threads. I've got them pre-separated to where they're only 3 threads. It makes it a little bit more manageable for you guys. And you're going to pick up 2 of these. So you can do the same colors, you can do different colors. It's totally up to you. You pick those. And then you're also going to receive your embroidery hoop that's going to be pre-strung with the fabric. And it should already be tight enough and ready to go. You're also going to receive a needle and some templates. So these are just kind of basic line drawing templates that you might want to embroider, you might not. It's totally up to you. You can do really any kind of simple line drawing like this that you want to. We're going to be doing just a split stitch today, so something very simple like these are really easy to do with that. If you get into anything else, it's going to get a little bit more complex and you're going to have to learn different stitches. So it's easier to just stick with something super simple like this if it's your first time. So the first thing that you're going to want to do when you receive all of this is you're going to put your design onto your little piece of fabric here. I did not do this ahead of time for you guys because I wasn't really sure what you would want to do. You can see here I've got a little cat going on. The easiest way to do this, the trick, is to take this to your window. It's easier if you have tape, but you don't need it. You're going to hold this up to your window on as bright a day as you can, or when the sun's out, really. Even if it's kind of overcast, it'll be okay. But you hold this up to your window, and then you put this over the top, and it should show your image through to the other side. If it doesn't, sometimes you might have to take your fabric out of your embroidery hoop. To do that, you're just going to want to untwist this part up here and pull it out. And then you can hold it completely flush to the paper, and you should be able to get a really good image that way. To re-rig this, you're going to you have your outer hoop and your inner hoop. You sandwich your fabric kind of in between that, if you can see, like that. And then you tighten this part again. As you're doing that, you want to also pull the fabric really tight. The tighter that fabric is, the better your embroidery is going to end up looking as an end result. And it's easier to do it that way too. You just want it to be really, really tight if you can. So once you have your image on there and you're happy with it, got my cat, the next step is to thread your needle. So some of you guys, if you have visual problems, if you have trouble threading a needle, because it is a really, really teeny tiny hole, they do make needle threaders. It's just a teeny tiny piece of wire that you pull through there first. You use that then to loop your string and you pull it through. We don't have any of those, but they're super cheap. You can get them from the dollar store for like a little bit of nothing. Otherwise, it's super simple. I was always taught to lick it. I don't know that that's the right way to do it, but I lick mine. Sorry, it's gross. So you do that, and then you're going to want to thread your needle like that. Ta-da! And I got these variegated threads just because I think they're cute. But you want your secondary thread, the one that you just put through, to not go all the way to the end. You want to have a pretty good tail on it. And then you just have to tie your knot at the end of your longer string. Again, I lick everything. I don't know why I do it. My mom taught me to do it this way, and I've just always done it. So I lick my finger a little bit. I don't think you have to. And then you put your piece of thread in between your pointer and your thumb finger. Wrap it around once, so it looks like that. Ta-da. And then you rub your fingers together quite a bit. And then I use my middle finger to kind of pull that tight. And there you have a teeny tiny knot. And that's all the bigger that you want it. It'll hold. It's good. So there's your thread. It's all ready to go. And you're ready to embroider. So I like to kind of start on like a straightaway on a pattern like this. So I'm going to do the cat's back first. So I'm starting here. Put your needle through. Pull it all the way up. So your knot is at the bottom. Thread is at the top. And then you are going to poke it down here again. Maybe like right there. Got it? Poke it through. Another thing that will save you, because these strings, when they're hanging here, they'll knot up on each other. So it's easier if you take one of them and kind of hold it to the side as you're pulling through. So like I just put my thumb in between the two and pull. Ta-da! You have one stitch. Yay! And then you are going to want to, because we are doing a split stitch, the trick of the split stitch is that you're going to want to come up again about halfway through your first stitch. That's a split stitch. It's simple. So then on the back of your fabric, you're going to want to place your needle right in between those two holes. So right there. See? And then you pull it up through. And again, these will tangle on the back if you don't keep them straight. So it helps to just put a finger in between the two to make sure that they don't tangle on you, because that's not fun. And then you should have, looks like that. I don't know how you can see that. And then you're going to do another stitch, just a little bit further out from that. Put your needle back through to the bottom. Again, it helps if you separate it with your thumb. Pull through. Ta-da! Now you're on the back again, and the same exact thing. You're just going to go halfway through, and you're going to make a split stitch. And it'll look like this on the front. Again, separate your threads like that. Pull through. And there's your front. You have done a split stitch. Yay! So you're going to keep doing that through till you get a little bit further. I'm going to pause it until I get to a curve so I can show you how to do the curves. It's not going to be crazy different, but there is a little bit of a different technique that you want to do when you go around sharp turns like what these ears are going to be. So I'm going to pause this and do a little bit more of it, and then I will be right back. Okay, so I have got kind of his whole back done, and I'm ready to do some ears. So the first thing that you're going to do when you're up on a sharp kind of turn like that is you're going to want to, with this one it's a point, so you're going to want to make sure that the top of your stitch hits the top of the ear, because you don't want to try to angle a stitch. It'll turn out funky. So I'm going to make the end of this stitch hit right at the top of his ear, like that. Pull it through. And then I am going to angle it back down by just going almost where that stitch went in. It's not technically going to be split for this one stitch. And then it's going to go back down. It also helps when you're doing curvy pieces to make sure that your stitch length is shorter. The shorter it is, the more control you have when you're doing different shapes. So I'll show you later on when I get down here. You also can pull the thread a little bit by determining where you put your split in, if that makes sense. Actually, I think I can do that right here. One sec. Okay, so for example, where this stitch is, I want to have some curve there. I don't want it to be absolutely straight. So it's a shorter stitch, but I want it to curve a little bit. I want it to bend down so that you get more of like an ear feeling, if that makes sense. So when I go in with my split, I'm going to go, I don't know how to show you this. I'm going to go in just a little bit closer, like where I want it to bend to. Can you see that? And then I'm going to grab the thread with the needle and kind of push it under. So you see how it's creating that bend there that wasn't there before? And I'm going to pull it tight. And then I'm going to push it back through so you can see what I did. I don't know how clear it's going to be on camera. So you see how that was straight across. It was completely across, and now I've kind of pulled that thread down just a little bit to kind of conform to the pattern. It adds a little bit more finesse to it. It makes it look a little bit cleaner and a little bit more like what you want it to look like, because you don't want it to be straight lines all the way across like a connect the dots kind of pattern. It's a little skill, but it makes your work look so much better in the end. So I'm going to keep going here for a little bit, and then I'll show you how to change threads, because you're going to want to tie this off at the end. So I'm probably going to go until I'm a little shorter on thread, and then I'm going to come back and do the other ear. So I'll show you how to do that in one sec. Okay, so now I have kind of hit a stopping point. He's looking like a cat now. Yay! But I went, you can see like the belly of the cat goes down here, but the rest of his leg comes up this way. So I need to tie off my thread. So I'm going to go to the end of my line, and I'm going to pull through. Ta-da! That's a cat leg. Now on my back, a really good sign when you do your embroidery, you want it to look as pretty on the back as it does on the front, almost. So mine's pretty clean so far. I can't complain too much about that. But when you tie yours off, you want it to look really clean too, because. So what you're going to want to do, you pulled your thread through. I'm trying to see if I can do this without looking at it. So I pull back through another stitch. I get my needle just right underneath it, if you can see that. And then I'm going to take my thumb and kind of angle the needle up that way, if you can see that. And then with this hand, I'm going to take my thread and I'm just going to wrap it around once. So it's just wrapped around the needle that one time. And then you're going to take your needle and you're just going to pull it the rest of the way through. And again, it really helps if you hold your threads separately so they don't tangle up on each other. You can also do this kind of a knot for the front of things if you're making like eyeballs or just little dots. It's kind of cute. So you're going to pull that really, really tight. Make sure your thread is taut. And then you're just going to cut it. And see on the back, you can hardly see that knot. It's teeny tiny. So it keeps it looking really, really clean. I'm going to cut that, and then I'm going to finish up this project, and I'll show you the complete product. And here is the finished product. It looks like a cat. So I did have to go back through, you can see on the back, to do the legs. I had to do a little knot on each side and just embroidered around that. Same with this leg. Up here, I also had to cut my thread because there was another color coming in, and I kind of like him just being yellow and blue. So I cut the other color out of my variegated thread. That's why there's extra knots back there, and this one's really super sloppy, which is not great. But there you have it. That's what your finished product will look like. Now you could, if you really wanted to keep going with this, you could look up how to do a satin stitch and maybe fill in this outline. You could do something kind of fancy like that. That's kind of a more advanced stitch. It takes a little bit more time. It's going to take you a lot longer to finish this project. But if you really wanted to take a super long time to finish something, it would be kind of a fun hobby to do. There's a lot of other stitches. You could fill this in with like a pattern if you wanted. If you look up on YouTube, or you can come into the library and ask us, we can definitely get you a book on embroidery. And then also another cute touch would be to add like your initials down here. Split stitch is actually great for monograms and initials. So you won't have to do a different anything, just draw them with pencil and then outline them with your split stitch. And you have a cute little signature there if you want that. Otherwise, this is the project. I hope you liked it. Thanks. Bye.